So, we have to talk about the thing that everybody has been talking about for a month, which is the coronavirus. And it's definitely affecting the market. So, let's get into it. So, the coronavirus is not more lethal than like the flu virus. I know everyone's probably heard this, but looking at the numbers, okay, so just in the US alone, the CDC estimates, the death toll for just this past flu season for the US about like 16,000 to about 41,000, which is a pretty big range. I don't know why the range is so large, but that's what they're looking at. So even at the lowest range or lowest part of the range, which is at 16,000, that is substantially higher than what the coronavirus is pacing at. The death toll for the coronavirus worldwide is ranging anywhere from 2,800 to 3,000. So then why is it that the coronavirus is, having such a huge impact on the markets, but the flu virus doesn't? The reason for this is because of the unknown variables that are associated with the coronavirus as opposed to the flu virus. The flu, we know how to inoculate against it. We know the symptoms, we know how it transmits, we know the demographic it usually affects the most. The death toll for the flu virus tends to definitely affect the younger, like child ages and also the older senior ages. But with the coronavirus, we don't know that variable. We don't know how to inoculate against it. We don't even know fully how it completely transmits from person to person. And so there's all these unknown variables that make it very, very scary. On top of that, the markets are reacting not because of those unknown variables, but because of the unknown variables according to cost economically. What is this going to do? So I told you guys in my other video at the beginning of the year, the longer this takes to contain and to address and eliminate, the bigger the economic impact will be. So what do I mean by this? So like right now in parts of China, companies are completely shut down. They're not allowed to bring workers in at all. And it's a government mandate that they're not allowed to bring them in. And it's because they're trying to find ways to contain the spread of this virus or at least slow it down. And so they're trying to limit the contact people have with each other. There's all sorts of rules that have been implemented by the government far as movement within China so that they can try to contain this. And when you have all these people not working, that's a loss of production. That is going to show up economically down the road. It might not show up the full impact at this point. It might show just a little bit, but the full impact of this will be showing later down, maybe in, I would say, like a month or two. And so those unknown variables, unknown costs, that is what's causing the markets to panic. On top of that, it's spreading. The coronavirus is spread to pretty much every continent in the world, and it is there's a big threat. There's a lot of focus on California, especially the LA area for the coronavirus outbreak, because there's a fairly large homeless population in the LA region, and if it spreads, if it has an outbreak, and especially among the homeless population, they're going to have a very hard time containing that, and that will spread pretty quickly from that point forward. And so that's why there's some concern with that. And again, there's a lot of costs associated with this, not just human life costs, but also the financial costs associated with it, which is why it's a concern. So because it's an unknown virus, there's going to be there has to be a lot of research that has to be poured into it, trying to understand it and trying to find vaccinations against it, treatments for it. And again, this is not cheap. Nothing comes for free. So, someone's got to foot that bill. And that's where, again, and we don't know how much it's going to take to fight this. And so these unknown factors are what cause the uncertainty in the markets, and the markets don't like uncertainty. They like predictability. And so because this is causing some chaos, the markets are reacting very negatively to this information. And so that's why we're seeing the markets, fluctuating, having a pretty big downturn. Like on Monday, it had a downturn of like 1,000 points. Tuesday, it had a downturn of like 800. Today, it had like a downturn, I believe, around 184 or 300, somewhere around that. And so we see all of that, and everyone's panicking like, oh, this is going to be a recession. This doesn't necessarily signal recession. You have to remember, recession is two consecutive downturns in GDP. So the market does not equate to GDP or gross domestic product. So, but if it continues to go at the rate it's going, again, it's going to have impacts, and then we will probably see a recession. Because if people aren't traveling, if people are confined, to their homes or to just a few locations, that's a loss of production, that's a loss of consumption, that's a loss of a lot of stuff. And so then we're going to start seeing that manifest in the GDP numbers pretty much across the globe. And so that's why this is a big concern. Again, there's just not a lot of known information about the coronavirus, which is why it's so scary for most people. And I mean, naturally, anything that's unfamiliar is scary for people. So, but the markets, there's a lot of room to run. I mean, honestly, I don't feel like this is a bad thing that the markets are having a breather. I'm always a big proponent that the markets, take a break and then push forward again. And that's probably what we're going to see with this, unless the coronavirus cannot be contained. Then we're going to have, continuous downturns or down movements in the market, just because, again, the cost of this will start showing up economically. And so, but it's going to be a quick video today. Just wanted to update on that. Again, I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily that the markets take a breather. The markets, the S&P last year produced like 30%. And so it's okay that we're having a breather right now. And it's at the very beginning of the year. But as you can imagine, this is definitely putting a damper on travel worldwide. And tourism is a huge export for a lot of places. It usually accounts for at least a good chunk of, not a big chunk, but a sizable small chunk of GDP for a lot of countries. So we are definitely going to see impacts of that manifesting here in the next few months. So I'll keep you guys updated. And of course, as always, if you guys have any questions, put them in the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button, and I will talk with you later.